It's wide. This is so cool. Look, I know this might be a lens that's outside of a lot of creators' league, but I'm going to motivate this for you because this is an incredible lens. I'll give you some of the pros, I'll give you some of the cons, and you can work out whether this is for you or not. But I'm hoping by the end of this video you get it. I believe that every content creator should be shooting in wide angle lenses or with wide angle lenses. I've always believed in them, but there's always been some form of trade-off. Before this lens, I was shooting with the EF 10 to 18 millimeter with the RF lens mount so that you can get it, but there are some things that it just doesn't do, like on the RP, for instance. It does not shoot in 1080p, it just does 4K or 720p, which is bizarre. And it also, unfortunately, gives you that fisheye lens look, which is something you don't necessarily always want with your content. And also, if you're shooting on the widest pull, then you often get like really bad vignetting, and especially if you've got a crop sensor. This 10 to 20 mil doesn't solve that problem, but those other ones, it solves. You see some distortion, but it doesn't give you that bulge. And there's a reason why it doesn't do that. Canon are pretty much like using the RF mount to its full capacity. It's really close to the sensor, it clicks in, and there's a whole bunch of technology that they are putting into this lens that just make it great. It's called a rectilinear lens. I know that sounds rude, but it actually means that the glass that's shaped in front of it is designed to let in the light as straight as possible, so you get less distortion or bulging at the end of the lens. So you might see it stretch a little bit, but you're not going to see it bulge in, and you're not going to see it pinch. With a rectilinear lens, you're trying to eliminate any unnatural ways that light will get distorted by the lens into the sensor to get it as straight as you can. There is some software tweaking as well that gets done at some stage, but like you can go pixel peep with other people. This video is not about pixel peep. The result is this incredible ultra wide look that looks natural. It crams as much into the shot as possible, and it's just a beautiful shot. It's great. It's dramatic. It's something spectacular. And for content creators, the use cases I believe are astounding. Hear me out. If you're vlogging or self-shooting, this is an incredible lens to use. To get this wide field of view means that you're guaranteed to get everything in shot, and there's nothing that you're going to lack. But one of the main reasons is that I can get really close to the lens. So I'm filming with my selfie camera, and I'm going to pull it away. This is the shot. Look how close I am to the lens, and I'm barely filling it up. Like am I getting it in? There we go. I'm like, my nose is basically touching it now. This makes it like a great lens to use in small spaces. If you have a YouTube channel and you've got a tiny room that you film in, like a little studio space, you can make it feel bigger. This room feels huge with this lens. And it's much cheaper than paying rent somewhere else, right? Being this close also means that my shotgun mic is extremely close to my head, to my face. So you can get really good audio. You know what it's like with these dynamic microphones. And if you're vlogging on the street, using a shotgun microphone and being this close means that your audio is guaranteed to sound good, but then also you are in shots, which is great. It solves both of those problems. It's also a weather sealed lens, so you can take this out pretty comfortably, and you're pretty secure with it, no matter what the weather is going to be like. And it's super steady when like shooting in hand because it's got image stabilization at 5 stops and 6 stops with IBIS. There are a couple of downsides though to vlogging. Firstly, it's a really big lens. It's 83.7 by 111 millimeters, which is pretty bonkers. And it's got this glass bulge at the front, which kind of sticks out a fair amount. And it adds to the overall weight of the whole camera setup by adding like an extra 510 grams to it. And for this reason, I know I'm shooting this on an R5C, I will then opt to shoot with the RP because the RP is lighter than the R5C and I need to mitigate that as much as possible. The other thing is that there isn't really any thread. There is thread on the inside, but there isn't really proper traditional thread for an ND filter that you would just like screw on the front. And that means as a creator, obviously no ND filter and there's that glass bulge because you don't want that there, but also you can't really put on a portable teleprompter. So portable teleprompters need to have a ring screwed onto the front and the prompter being put over that ring, and that it's screwed onto the lens with that ND filter mount, which sucks, which means like I'm not using a teleprompter now, which is something I would normally do. There are some workarounds, especially for the Elgato prompter. You can get a different kind of housing that you can stick your phone through the shield at the back. but it's not ideal for a lot of us who are run and gun, which is kind of what I think is one of the greatest use cases for this lens. But besides, I kind of get it. It's such a wide lens that you're bound to get some of the vignetting unless you zoom in like this. This is the zoomed in side you're probably going to get, but then what's the point, right? You want to get that, you want to get that. This is the look that you want. This takes incredible product shots. Most people who are taking product shots and would suggest the lens would rightfully suggest a 35mm, like the RF 35mm is a great lens for that, but it's a macro lens. It'll kind of only show you like parts of the things that you're focusing on and not the entire product. And because the bokeh is so strong, it often pulls focus from the rest of the product onto like a label or a button or something very small, which is good, but it looks really nice having a full product shot with an ultra wide. This has only got an f-stop of 4, so we're going to really struggle to get to any form of bokeh, which is fine. And I've actually been converted through a lot of indoctrination by a mate of mine called Jonathan. Go give him a follow. He is a professional photographer, and he used to drill into me that bokehs are overrated, and I kind of get why. I think bokeh is a stylistic device that's actually meant to be functional when it comes to focusing on what is the subject matter, to lead someone's eye to it, but then it creates that milky effect. It feels intimate, and a lot of people like that, but it's not appropriate in every single shot, especially in the stuff that we're doing on socials, because you want to see as much of what's in the frame as possible. So having a rectilinear ultra wide kind of does a similar thing. It doesn't blur the background. It can show you where the focal point is. My face is the focal point, but it'll give you the context of the surroundings, which is awesome for storytelling. It's such a great way to tell a story. And that makes it awesome for product shots in general, because it being used in a certain situation and having different aspects of the product being highlighted is kind of like what I really like about it. And that actually moves me on to the next point. I think it's a great camera for thumbnails. You could use ultra wide cameras on other devices, like I said, like the 10 to 18 or whatever, but you are going to get that fisheye look, and it doesn't look authentic. Having it rectilinear means that the background is still here, and you still get to see quite clearly what that context is without it having to fisheye out of the way. For thumbnails, they are storytelling devices, whether it's on Instagram or on something like YouTube, because what that picture is the reason you click on that video. So you need a subject, and then instead of having a bokeh where everything is blurred out and there's no context to the story, you can tell a story in one image that people would want to click on. And that's kind of where I'm going with using this lens for thumbnails. I think it's very important, and you can get so much out of it using it like that. Speaking of Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, I think this is an amazing lens for shooting vertically. So we're shooting horizontally now with landscape, and there's just so much frame that it's really easy to crop this in as much as you can. Like, you can do this in any software, whether it's DaVinci or CapCut or Premiere. You can auto reframe a sequence to fit a vertical setting, and some clients will ask you to do that. Or for instance, you might want to take parts of a video that you've shot, but you shot it for YouTube and it's a landscape video, and you want to convert this to a short. You can do that quite comfortably if you've got everything correctly in frame. And that's what this lens does. This rectilinear lens is meant to keep as much in frame as possible. So you're able to then be able to reframe it for a short without it look like that you've compromised it in any capacity in any way. And the other way is if you tilt this lens into a portrait mode, you will be able to see as much top and bottom as you can. There's a lot of headroom here, but you get even more on an ultra wide vertically. So that is also a cool way of doing something that I think a lot of creators are actually doing with their gear. Although it's a lot more expensive than a lot of other lenses that content creators are told to get, right? Or that are more in the content creator price bracket. I think that this is something that you should really, really consider. I think there's a big argument for using ultra wide rectilinear lenses in your content, because I think that it's such a unique look. There's so much in frame, but it's effective and it looks really, really good. So if you're in the market for one, I highly recommend dropping it and getting this. This is top of the line RF Canon technology, and it's really going to elevate your R series camera. Trust me, this is on the R5C. I think it looks amazing. And I use this a lot now.